They've endured construction noise, pollution, congestion for years. So how about $100 for your trouble? Colorado has been in a state of emergency when it comes to kids' mental health. It's only gotten worse since that was announced. And how about this for a welcome to Colorado?
Come on, y'all. Russell Wilson. Holy very exciting.
Put that on billboards statewide. Russell Wilson's here. Holy indeed. A call for an investigation into a major polluter in town. And you've been asking how to help Ukrainians fighting for their country and their lives. We found the Colorado-based nonprofit that can do it. So let's go, because this is next. Shift happens. It's happening this week on the new section of I-70 through Denver. Traffic that's being moved over onto newly built lanes. The burden of the big interstate makeover that was shifted onto Coloradans living nearby is going to be lifted in a number of ways when the project is complete, including one small way. It's a real small way. Marshall Zellinger explains.
Soon, that pavement to the left of the yellow line will be replaced with a toll lane. And for residents who have had to deal with the constant hum of construction, some will get a construction going away gift.
The feedback we got from the community was it has to be free. It can't be something you have to pay for and then get a little bit back. It has to be something that is actually a free benefit.
At a CDOT commissioners meeting this afternoon, the board was told about that free benefit. A toll transponder with $100 or $100 in bus passes in a part of town where about 4 out of 5 do not have an express lane account to begin with.
That tells us that the education component and outreach that we'll have to do is substantial to ensure people know what that is, how to use it, how to make sure they manage it.
The benefit is not for everyone who lives near the I-70 construction in Globeville and Elyria-Swansea, GES for short. It will be income restricted. Families making 200% of the federal poverty level or less, meaning an income of $36,000 for a couple, $55,000 for a family of 4, and $93,000 for a family with 8.
It's 53% of GES residents, and that's about 5,600 individuals.
I spoke with residents who live in Globeville and Elyria-Swansea who questioned why everyone who lives here cannot benefit from what they've been through for the last 4 years.
The teeter-totter of if you can have more people on the program, less benefits. Less people on the program are more benefits.
Limited so there can be more money to go around. Though 167 households who lost their homes to eminent domain will also get the $100 transit credit. So who pays for it? Anyone who drives in the soon-to-be-open toll lane.
We will pay our operations and maintenance costs first, plowing, the toll equipment, replacing that equipment, fixing the guardrail, things like that. And then after we paid those expenses, we will take 15% of the net revenue and apply that towards this program.
This transit credit will last 10 years, but CDOT is going to review it after the first, third, and fifth years to make sure residents are getting the best use of that benefit. Is the money enough? Should it be more toll or more bus? And is CDOT getting the word out enough? As you heard, just 53% have it would only affect 53% of the people, but 83% of the people that live there don't have the transponder in the first place.
So folks need to know, even if this isn't a life-changing benefit, it's theirs if they want it.
Right, and if they don't know about it, what good is it? So they're going to supposedly mail something to every house. They're going to have community meetings, perhaps at a rec center, community center. Get the message out definitely before the toll lanes open, and then every year after that. And this is something that I'll have to remember to check on year to year.
And it's just a reminder that the way that we get around and might take for granted has a disproportionate impact on some communities in Colorado, more so than others. That highway split through the center of that community and impacts them to this day. Marshall, thank you. Xcel has the go-ahead now to raise rates starting in April, an extra $5 and change per month for residential customers, $6 plus for commercial. Xcel had asked regulators to approve double that. This is not the rate hike that we've been talking about, the one that could be coming to pass along the costs of last winter's brutal cold snap. Xcel Energy is still asking regulators for permission to have you pay for those costs. Suncor's stacks and the stuff that comes out of them and into Denverites' lungs could get a closer look from the EPA. Democratic Congresswoman Diana DeGette wants the EPA to look into past permits given to that oil refinery in Commerce City. She thinks they're pulling funny business to get around stricter pollution standards. Sent an official letter to the EPA, DeGette did, asking them to audit dozens of recent permits approved for Suncor. And she cited how the facility's pollution impacts nearby residents. In her letter, she points out that Suncor has been deemed a major air emitter under the Clean Air Act. etiquette says the facility has been allowed to do modifications and improvements that are deemed minor. Those minor modifications, she says, get less scrutiny and are cheaper for the company than if they're considered major. etiquette says that this issue of polluters getting around Clean Air Act regulations with minor modifications instead of major changes is a nationwide problem, not specific to just Suncor. This was May of last year that Children's Hospital Colorado really got everybody's attention with the announcement that they believed there was a state of emergency for kids' mental health. Well, nearly a year later, they say things have not gotten better. In fact, it seems to be getting worse, with fewer places for families to turn for help. Anusha Roy looks at how we got here.
With COVID, it was obvious that more people would get sick, so our hospital started adding more beds. But when the same thing happened with kids and their mental health, the opposite happened. There were less beds and less resources for them. In the last 5 years, 16 of these facilities shut down in Colorado. Advocates say if you go back to 2007, that number triples, and COVID made everything worse. So how did Colorado get to a place with more sick kids and fewer places to help them? There was a shift in philosophy around 15 years ago that it would be better for kids to get behavioral health help in familiar settings, not a facility. So the state went from 1,600 kids in congregate care to 300 in 2022. But the kids who did need help needed more intense help. And then on top of that, there's a shortage of resources across the board. In Colorado, in particular, the system of care is fractured and more regional based. Investments needed 10 years ago didn't happen. And for some reason, mental health care and physical health care were considered separate, so behavioral health didn't get funded well. And with fewer places to turn to, kids are showing up in emergency rooms like at Children's Hospital Colorado, where at times half of their ER is filled with kids in a behavioral health crisis.
On top of that, some kids are staying in the hospital for 5 to 6 months because they just have nowhere else to go. 2 more facilities were just announcing that they're having issues scaling back with residential treatment or dealing with funding issues as well. And the state knows the system in Colorado is not working the way it is right now. So they're launching what they're calling a behavioral health administration in July to try to streamline the resources and the funding. They're also working to stand up new units as well, Kyle.
You'd think this is the last time that you'd want to see any kind of contraction in the system with places closing. The reason for that?
Right. So we talked to a whole bunch of different people today along with the state. And overall, some of the facilities over the years have had to close down because of safety concerns. And one of the experts was saying that, these facilities, sometimes there's inconsistent monitoring, so that there's another weakness in the system there. But in the last 5 years, the state was saying that there may have been less demand, and that's why a facility shut down. They were also subject to a lot of the same issues we're seeing in other industries. They're having issues hiring, staffing, and making the money work in these situations has been really difficult.
Appreciate your persistence on this topic that matters to a whole lot of people. Anusha, thank you. Thank you for your patience while we found a Colorado-based nonprofit that is making a real impact in Ukraine right now. This is going to be the first time that our Word of Thanks campaign will benefit people outside of Colorado. But so many of you have told us you're intent on helping in Ukraine. So let's do it. Your Word of Thanks microgiving campaign this week supports Project Cure, the Colorado-based nonprofit that's sending medical supplies and aid to Ukraine. For decades, Project Cure has sent medical supplies and equipment to places around the world where they're desperately needed, and they've been working in Ukraine for decades. They've been able to get 2 shipments in since the war started, with 4 more shipments leaving this week. Items like tourniquets, supplies to treat blunt force trauma, even full ICU beds that can be set up and operated wherever needed. There are Project Cure contacts on the ground that are able to receive these shipments. Their identities have been obscured here for their own protection. Project Cure has the contacts to be able to keep the supply lines open even as the war rages so that they can save lives in Ukraine. Talk to them about this, and they've got a good backup plan if the Ukrainian borders close due to the war. They're going to be able to pivot to help Ukrainians in refugee camps where they have contacts in Moldova and Romania. Here's the bottom line. I trust that Project Cure is going to use our donations quickly and effectively to save the lives of Ukrainians under siege from Russia. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491, and I'll send you that link to donate. We'll never ask you to give a loan, so I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us rolling. There are only a few Coloradans in a real position to directly help Ukrainians during the war right now. Project Cure is doing it, and we can help.
Christmas in March. Kids whose holiday season was cut short by the Marshall Fire get a moment to celebrate and forget their challenges.
We provide hope and joy. I mean, I myself cannot imagine losing my household and everything in it.
And we kick off a fresh segment welcoming people new to Colorado. Wait till you meet these folks. Talented and photogenic, too. That's next.
We're kicking off a new segment tonight to introduce you to everyday folks moving to Colorado. Make some community connections. We're calling it, Won't You Be My Neighbor? Tonight we welcome a young couple with 3 kids. It's a blended family. They're moving to Colorado after years of living in Washington State. He's originally from Ohio, she's from Texas, but they are very excited for all that Colorado has to offer. Sierra Wilson is an artist. That sounds like fun. Her husband, Russell, friends I guess call him Russ. He runs a pigskin delivery service. They got married at a castle in England, which sounds really cool, but also probably expensive. They are both people of faith, devout Christians. So if you see them in church on Sunday, say hi, don't be a stranger. It's got to be hard moving to a new state where you don't know anybody and nobody knows who you are.
I know technically it's still winter, but this is a spring storm that's pushing in. Nice snowfall up in the mountains, but now we're starting to see a little rain here in Denver. That rain will continue for the next couple of hours before it fully switches over to snow by about 10 o'clock tonight. Here we are, 9-10 p.m. Snowfall certainly stacking up just to the south into Douglas, Elbert counties, up into the foothills. That's really going to be the sweet spot for this storm. And by early tomorrow morning, the drive into work, the drive into school, it's going to be a bit messy. This is about 7 o'clock, snowing still here in the metro area and off to the eastern plains. It finally begins to loosen its grip just a bit on the metro area by about lunchtime, but still some off and on snow showers to be expected as we go throughout the rest of your Thursday. Winter storm warning in place for Denver. Total snowfall about 3 to 7 inches. Some higher amounts 6 to 12 further to the south, and then everywhere in blue under the winter weather advisory. Even into the foothills, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a couple of spots hitting 7 to 15 inches of new snow. Tomorrow's going to be pretty cool out there. A lot of us in the upper 30s, low 40s. But hey, look at the weekend. The 60s are back, the sunshine, and officially the start of spring before another storm system arrives next week.
Hey folks, it's a sign that the rules don't really matter when Opry ski drinks are on the line. Andrea spotted the sign at Vail. Do not leave your gear on the snow. Please put skis and snowboards in a rack. Yeah, good luck with that. The surrounding area looks like last pickings at Sneagrab out there. We love a mess more than Marie Kondo, so send us the signs of delightful disorder you see around our state. Next at 9news.com's email, or shoot us a tweet with the hashtag HeyNext.
For my girls, lots of their toys were destroyed, like everything.
A second chance at Christmas for young survivors of the Marshall Fire, as state leaders debate more insurance protection for Coloradans impacted by the next fire.
Before daylight saving time, that's what it looked like at 4:30 outside. Colorado legislators talking today about streamlining insurance payments for people who lose their homes to wildfires. A bill to do that passed the state house this morning. Bipartisan effort that would create new coverage requirements for property and casualty insurance policies in the state. Standardizes what insurers will pay out for lost property and living expenses while people are displaced. It requires insurance companies to pay disaster victims 65% of the value of the contents of their home up front. And people wouldn't have to do a comprehensive inventory of their stuff to get that money. Current state law only guarantees 30% up front. The bill also requires insurers give additional time and flexibility to people who are rebuilding or replacing a lost home. 1,000 families lost their homes in the Marshall Fire just days after Christmas. She had gifts lost, memories forever changed. Today, some of those families had a chance to regain some sense of the holiday season past.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
But I think we're at March 17th, I think it is. 16th, 14th. Second Christmas is what we're doing.
Look over here.
Today is for the Marshall Fire. We're trying to replace memories.
How's she doing with everything?
Sometimes she talks about how we had to evacuate.
Yeah.
What they lost was everything in those houses. They lost their Christmas trees, any ornaments. It happened just right after Christmas.
Yeah, so our place that we were living was smoke damage, so we were never able to go back. Yeah, it's been interesting. We went to a restaurant and I think they were barbecuing some food and the girls were like, is there a fire? It smells like smoke, you know.
Yeah.
It's very,
Yeah.
it's still very.
Mm-hmm. You know, she's going to remember that her whole life.
You know, for my girls, lots of their toys were destroyed, like everything. We got some art stuff and some books and some puzzles and games to replenish. I think it's actually really sweet for her to have these joyous moments.
That's what we're trying to do here today. Give them a little more hope, a little more Christmas.
To feel like really affected by the fire and have everything like destroyed, and then to be able to come to events in places like this, I think it reminds us that there's actually healing in community.
You know, the joy on these children that they come in and see in their faces, and the joy when they leave and everything, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Take good care.
Yes, indeed. There's a Colorado nonprofit with inside contacts in Ukraine, sending medical supplies there to save lives. And it would appear you've crashed their website as you all pile in to help them send more aid as fast as possible. Your generosity and your feedback next. This week is your first ever Word of Thanks microgiving campaign that is helping a cause outside Colorado. But so many of you were absolutely certain that we needed to do something to assist Ukrainians. So after a bit of searching, we've come up with a Colorado-based nonprofit that I'm confident is going to be able to get that job done even in wartime. Project Cure, based out of Centennial, has a decades-long history of getting medical supplies into some of the most difficult to access areas on Earth. If you scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491, I'll send you the link. You can consider joining me in supporting Project Cure's work in Ukraine. They have been able to get shipments past the border since Russia attacked. If the border closes, Project Cure says it will be able to pivot to help Ukrainians in refugee camps in other countries. Project Cure has the ability to do what we all wish we could do personally right now, which is to save lives in Ukraine. I appreciate everything that everybody is doing tonight to help them do it. Leslie says, I think we crashed the Project Cure site. We'll continue to try. Thank you. Yes, you did crash the Project Cure site. But despite the site going down, you've raised $40,000 for that life-saving work in about 15 minutes. Keen notes from Broncos orange to Ukrainian yellow and blue. Yes, indeed. Thanks for noticing. We'll see you next time.